And so the question has come up, and you heard it here, and you'll hear it again, I'm sure. It's why not visit the border? Why not see what Americans are seeing in this crisis?
Well, we are going to the border. We have to deal with what's happening at the border. There's no question about that. The reason that I am in Guatemala is to address the reasons people leave home, flee. They want to stay. They don't want to leave.
What her focus is, the assignment is to work with leaders. She's on a trip doing exactly that, exactly what the president asked her to do.
As a border district has said to you and the president, come. You need to see this.
Listen, I care about what's happening at the border. I'm in Guatemala because my focus is dealing with the root causes of migration.
You had a message for would-be migrants. Don't come.
Do not come.
There's one other topic I wanted to talk to you about. Let me just quickly put a button.
Okay.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
I'm here in Guatemala today. At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
I think we're all pretty perplexed. I mean, I guess this is what happens when you have a border czar who is closing in on 80 days since she has been tasked with addressing this problem, has yet to go to the southern border. That interview was an absolute disaster. What an embarrassment. I haven't been to Europe. Are you kidding me? What is that? It is a ridiculous thing. Right. I mean, and we have been to the border. Who has been to the border between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, the two people apparently in charge of the country?
Do you plan to visit the border?
Not today. But I have before, and I'm sure I will again.
What's happening at the border? Rightly or wrongly, people are coming in record numbers because they believe the Biden administration has encouraged certainly children to come. What are you going to do about that? It's chaotic. Some are calling it a crisis. Look, if you're going to change the Trump policy, the previous policy, at least have a game plan. And there doesn't appear right now to be a game plan.
There was a system in place previously, before the last administration, to allow us to process these kids in their country of origin. That was dismantled. We have to reconstruct it. It's not going to happen overnight.
Reconstruct. You had to deconstruct the horrible situation that the Trump administration had created at the border. Deconstruct it so you can reconstruct a better system. And they have.
Biden has called for a complete suspension of deportations, closing down detention facilities, ending border prosecutions, think of this, and mass amnesty for all illegal aliens. Can you believe this?
Just to clear something up that's been, in the news for the last 24 hours or so, can you commit right now that you will indeed visit the U.S.-Mexico border, and will you do it soon?
Jeremy, let me tell you something. Yes, I will, and I have before.
About the vice president's trip, why is it that when the vice president is asked if she has plans to visit the border, she says we've been to the border, even though she has not as vice president?
Well, as the vice president, she does speak for the actions of the people in the administration. She certainly helps oversee. I expect that sometime she may go to the border.
Will you and the president be going down to the border anytime soon?
At some point, absolutely, we will go down to the border, and I've been down to the border. And to reconstruct the systems, Anthony, that are about processing these cases. And that is taking some time. Look, we've been in office less than 100 days.
120 days. Give me a break.
Don't they have a point that if she has this task in front of her, should she not see the end cause as well as the root cause of migration?
Well, first, as I said to Peter, at some point she may go to the border. I don't have any trips to preview for you or predict or a timeline for that.
I've been to the border before. I will go again. But when I'm in Guatemala, dealing with root causes, I think we should have a conversation about what's going on in Guatemala. Okay.
I'm going to go to the border. And when are you going to the border, Vice President?
The administration has asked. I'm not finished. I've said I'm going to the border.
A new president is set to take office in America. He's promised to give legal status to 11 million immigrants. This has triggered a wave. Migrants from Honduras making their way to the United States.
But if Biden is elected, all of this security will quickly vanish. Control of the border will be ceded to violent cartels. And, you know, you used to see these massive amounts of illegals coming up from Honduras, right? From Guatemala, El Salvador.
Criminal cartels control the border. They decide who crosses, when they cross, when they cross. They manage the whole border and who goes where and when they go and how much they got to pay. So the cartels are making billions of dollars controlling that border right now.
Never has there been a scene like what's happening at the border and the death that's being caused. This isn't just border. This is death and criminals pouring into our country.
And make no mistake, the border crisis that we're dealing with right now is a direct result of the open border policies that have been put into place by the Biden administration.
All of us today witnessed the Biden cages. What is occurring here on the border is heartbreaking, and it is a tragedy. Not a single one of these cameras is allowed in the Donna facility. We requested that media accompany us in the facility. The Biden administration said no. But the Biden administration wants to hide what is going on here. Not only that, but a number of us took pictures and took videos because the American people have a right to know what is happening here. And the Biden administration sent down political handlers to try to keep silent, to try to keep the American people not knowing what's going on. Little girls, of little boys, lying side by side, touching each other, covered with reflective emergency blankets. There was no 6-foot space, there was no 3-foot space, there wasn't a 3-inch space between the children lined up one after the other after the other. And the Biden administration is taking people who are testing positive for COVID-19 and locking them in cages side by side. This is inhumane, it is wrong, and it is the direct consequence of policy decisions by the Biden administration. This needs to stop. It is a crisis, it is a tragedy, and it is a man-made crisis. This was avoidable, this was preventable. And regardless of your party, Republican or Democrat, you should look at what's going on here and say enough is enough, this must stop. Johnson.
And then what happens when they arrive at our borders? We who have erected the Statue of Liberty, they arrive at our borders and we say, go back to where you came from. That is inhumane and it is immoral. I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come.
There are a number of ways to combat misinformation. One of them is accurate information.